And we're going to get started with some thank yous. And I'm going to start with the only person who has permission to breach the line, and that's Mrs. Lynette Hill. You've been our unofficial hospitality person when people have started needing a drink and everything, and we just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for doing that for us. You are truly embody leadership. Servant leadership. I got drowned out by applause for you there. Anxious to thank you. Then we are going to move on to appreciation for our committee assistant. Michelle has done an amazing job this year. This is a hard job to learn. I remember the first time that we got testimony, and there were hundreds of pieces of testimony, and it's when people don't label their testimony, it gets very interesting for people to figure out where that testimony goes and so on. And Michelle bends over backwards to accept testimony, and we appreciate that. And so, Michelle, we have a card from all of us, if Jason doesn't mind passing that down to you, something for you and Billy to enjoy that is legal for those watching. I forgot to take the Post-it note off the front. Okay, so we did amend the agenda to have a discussion item, and what we were going to discuss didn't get introduced properly, and we're unable to hear that in committee. So we are just going to have the first portion of our budget, of our agenda, which is hearing from some friends of Representative Hills. And Michelle, all of our absences are excused today because there was a conflict with another committee having an emergency committee. Just want to get that out there. So rather than me introduce our special guest, I think it's appropriate that Representative Hill introduce them. So go ahead.
Committee, serving on education, we have a lot of talk about different performance levels of good and bad and everything. But through the process of education, I've been exposed to this group of people in Dickinson County, and it's the only one like it in the state. There's some others nationwide, but it's the only one in the state that collaborates between all the schools in Dickinson County. And I'm not going to say a whole lot more other than introducing Brandy Gray, the coordinator of the program, and they will tell you all about it. So it's a really neat deal. So thank you very much.
Brandy, thank you. Would you like to begin by introducing the folks you have with you as guests today?
Yes, of course. So again, my name is Brandy Gray, and I'm the current facilitator of the Dickinson County CEO program. And today we have two of our current students with us. We have Abigail Gaston and then Kaylee Wybert. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you a little bit to the CEO program. CEO stands for Creating Entrepreneurial Opportunities, and it's a program designed for high school students to introduce them to real-world business experiences that extend past just the classroom. We are super excited to share with you how this program is helping transform our students to increase their skills, their mindset, and their confidence so that they can succeed not only in school, but in business and beyond. So CEO is not your typical high school class. Instead, it's a very hands-on, immersive experience. What our students do is they don't just learn about business, but they actually start a real business. They also have the opportunity to connect with dozens of local business leaders, but build their own professional network. They practice skills such as communication, problem solving, and teamwork. They work through professional challenges that challenge them to increase their professional as well as their personal growth. And they gain real-world skills that are invaluable no matter what they're doing, whether they're heading to college or straight to a career. To give you a little introduction to the program and its history, you can see that it started in 2005 with an idea from a teacher in the state of Illinois. Basically, one of his students wanted to have some sort of interaction with a local business leader. And instead of that teacher going and setting that up for that student, he encouraged the student and empowered that student to do that himself. And that kind of just sparked this idea. Local business leaders then started talking about how they really needed a real-world approach to teaching entrepreneurship. So they connected with this teacher and they kind of built the first CEO class in 2008. After that, they were recognizing the value of this transformative experience, and so they wanted to be able to spread this to other communities across Illinois, not just Effingham, Illinois. And so they built this institute, Midland Institute, in 2010 and started sharing the programs with other folks in the state of Illinois. It's grown and grown and grown, and we actually brought it to the Dickinson County area in 2020. And so how that kind of came to be is we had a local entrepreneur that heard about the program from another community in the Illinois area and was really kind of just impressed with what the program was and how it was interacting and engaging both with the education area and well as the business area. And so he's like, we really need to do this in Kansas. And so he talked to a local school board president, and together they were able to kind of rally some interest behind the CEO program, and they were able to get it off the ground in 1 year. And so it's quite the feat. Right now, we're actually in our 5th year of the program, and we're super excited to have over 40 kids through the program and really start to see how the program has impacted our kids. Ms. Kaylee?
Yeah, so CEO.
Before you begin, could you please say your name into the microphone for the record?
Yeah, Kaylee Weibert.
Thank you, Kaylee. Please proceed.
All right. So CEO is a class that includes all of the schools across Dickinson County, from Abilene, Chapman, Harrington, Hope, and Solomon. And right now this year, we only have kids from 3 of those districts, Abilene, Chapman, and Solomon, but we hope next year we have Harrington and Hope as well. Every day we meet from 7:30 in the morning to 9 a.m., and we're never in like a classroom setting. We get hosted at different businesses throughout Dickinson County, and we have different style days where we have work days at those host sites, and then we also get to earn 2 high school credits from being in CEO, even though it's just a 1-year class.
My name's Abigail Gaston. Sorry, let me get my slide. So CEO offers a lot of different things than a normal classroom. So it's not just a class where you go in and you do your assignment. Instead, you're actually creating something. When you leave the class, you don't leave with a grade on a report card. By the end of this year, I'm going to have my own individual business, and so that's one really cool part about CEO. So there's a lot to do with culture, the way we dress, the way we show up at 7:30 when school starts at 8. So being professional, team building. Randy does a lot of, professional development with us. And so we learn about like working with each other because we do a class business, which is something that's put on by our entire class to generate money to eventually fund our individual business. And then we also go on business visits, usually twice a week, or it depends, but, and we go actually explore real places. And then we have guest speakers, mentoring, and individual business, as I said, and so we'll give more details on that in a minute.
And so we're going to introduce a little bit about what these different days are and kind of how we work them in the program. There's not just one set day for any particular thing. It's kind of like a very interactive, a lot of variety to kind of build all the pieces and then work them together. So we're going to talk about kind of those different pieces and how they work together to build this, what we call our CEO magic. So it all kind of starts in the first few weeks of CEO. We are dedicated to establishing what we call the CEO culture. We're really trying to build a foundation for student success. So this is where we really focus on the students, and we challenge them to rise to a higher standards. We talk about simple things like the importance of first impressions. We talk to them about how to do a good handshake. We actually practice handshakes. We talk about punctuality and showing up early. We talk about professional communication and what that might look like with different leaders. We don't want our students to sit back in their chairs and just absorb. We want them to actually speak up. We want them to engage in conversations and interact with not only their peers, but with professionals that we bring in. So we really work hard those first few weeks to establish that environment, that entrepreneurial mindset, if you will. Early activities such as our micro business and value, or instills the values of really ownership and initiative and problem solving. My personal favorite topic that's a part of kind of that CEO culture beginning is the idea of creating the CEO wow. And this is the expectation that every person that interacts with a CEO student should be left with the thought of, wow, these CEO students were impressive. So we work really hard on trying to make that and create that wow for each of our students. Next up, as Abigail was sharing, we do a lot of team building, and this isn't done just at the beginning of the year, but we work on this throughout the year. There's special emphasis on team building at the beginning because, again, we are building a team from students from different schools. So we want to make sure that they're willing to work together, and then we, of course, incorporate it on throughout the year. The purpose of our team building is really to help develop trust between the classmates. We're trying to improve their communication and problem-solving skills. We want them to learn how to work through challenges and disagreements instead of avoiding them. And we want to just push them outside of their comfort zone and let them know that they're capable of doing so much more than what they might originally think. When stress is high or maybe motivation dips, those winter months can be hard, waking up extra early. And so we also use team building days on those opportunities to kind of reset our energy and strengthen the group dynamic. Our activities range wildly between what we do. We do, gosh, the other day we just did yo-yo competitions, right? We have cup stacking, we do mazes, we do puzzles, we have Pringle circles, just whatever it takes to build that group amongst our CEO team.
And then my favorite thing that we get, do I have to say my name again? My favorite thing that we get to do is go on business visits. We get to go like 2 to 3 times a week to different local businesses and get to like talk to those entrepreneurs and business people in our community and build new connections. And it's just like, it's my favorite part for sure from CEO so far. I feel like I've learned so much about how people, like how different people's stories can be on how they get to where they are and how they've built their business. And I wouldn't have gotten to experience that without being in CEO. And then we also will have guest speakers sometimes that will come in and talk to us at our host site that we've been having class business at. And these guest speakers include Ross Taplin, who introduced us at the beginning of the year to the sales process and really helped break that process down for us. And then another person who comes in regularly is Troy Leith, who explains our different personality types profiles and how they can help us in our strengths and also create some weaknesses that we might have to work through. And then Kyle Becker is another person that comes in sometimes. He explains, he helped explain business insurance when we were going through our class business. And all of these people that have come in to talk to us have just helped teach us a different part of the business model that we might not have like learned about in a normal traditional classroom.
So basically, from an educational perspective, what we have going on is that instead of reading content out of a textbook and learning it that way, we're actually putting them in front of professionals that are using that content each day. So CEO actually has a content-driven curriculum, if you will. There's definitely objectives and goals that we're trying to meet each year. And basically, we'll utilize different professionals within our community to teach those subject matters to make sure that the students get a whole array of business content knowledge. And so this is just kind of a nice little takeaway. We do a thing called a pre-impact survey and a post-impact survey of our students. And so you'll see a couple of references to that during today's presentation. But this is kind of a takeaway from that post-impact survey. And so we ask our students, what are the top takeaways that you have from these business visits? And that way we can kind of make sure that the learning is where it needs to be. And so what you'll see is the first one is to gain a new perspective on the contributions businesses have in our community, where they've shared information about that visit they learned today with other people. They're becoming customers of that business or referring parents, friends to the business, or they're thinking, man, I could really see myself working for that business. So it's a much more interactive, it's not just gaining content knowledge, but it's very interactive of how can they gain an appreciation for the community, how can they forward think about their career and what opportunities are there, and how is this really benefiting our businesses and our community as a whole. We'll let Abigail share a few additional components.
So our mentor program is something that's kind of also unique about this class. So when you're in a classroom with 20 other kids and you got one teacher, it's kind of hard sometimes to get one-on-one learning from them. And so our mentor program, with the business leaders, investors in our community, we have mentor meetings once a month. And eventually we get paired up with them. And while we're working on our individual business, we consult them a lot on like business plan, financial statements, just all these things that no one else is going to tell us about. And so it's really helpful to have one person to go to. My mentor, he owns a car dealership, and his name's Tim Holm, and I really like him. I ask him a lot of questions, and I even used him on class business, and so he's just a really good connection to have as like an adult to like model myself after. Okay, and then class business. So as I said, it's a business that we throw as a class, and so mainly the intention of that is to create money for us to use for our individual business, but it's not supposed to be a fundraiser, it's supposed to be a legitimate business. And so what we did for our class is we hosted a 80s themed murder mystery dinner, and so we got sponsors throughout our county to sponsor our event, and we kind of like made it fair by doing promotion for them with our Instagram and our Facebook. And then we gave them shout outs throughout our dinner, and we included some other things and gave them some tickets to the meal. And so that's what we did. Other things that have been done by classes before us is a comedy night. There's been a dueling pianos, a 5K run, and then there was a concert. And it doesn't have to be an event, but that's what we tend to do because it gets the community involved. And then individual business is what we're going through right now. So in the second semester, it's mainly individual business. And so that's when everyone gets a chance to show what they can do. And so my individual business is going to be pickles, so it's kind of weird because, so we have trade show that comes up. And so it's when we get to display our business. So in reality, am I going to do pickles for the rest of my life? Probably not. But it's really cool because I'm making a business plan, I'm writing a financial statement, and I'm just learning all these things like through a mock business. But I mean, I'm actually going to get to make money through it as well. And so it's a very cool experience. And like I said, it's not just a grade on a paper, it's not a test I'm taking, it's something I'm physically building. So. Oh yeah, trade show. And so then
it's not only like in CEO that I've grown my leadership skills, but I've also been able.
So this is trade show. There's a picture of it. And so everyone gets a booth, and we have 2 trade shows, one in Harrington and one in Abilene. And so everyone gets to display what they've made. And so it's just a good like way for the community to get to see, and it's a good like part to where you get to sell and just show your business. So.
Thanks, Abigail. So next up, we wanted to give you some perspective from other students that maybe couldn't be here today. So we work with Midland, who oversees the program.
And that I've grown my leadership skills, but I've also been able to apply that in.
Thank you. So this is Grace Merritt. She's actually a Chapman High School student, and she was a CEO kid, again, in 22, 23, and basically what we asked her to do is we asked her to sit down and do a quick reel describing her CEO experience while she's in high school. So this is Grace, who is going to give you her perspective as a high school student. She is currently, I believe, a sophomore at K-State, so we'll let you hear from her.
It's not only like in CEO that I've grown my leadership skills, but I've also been able to apply that in so many other areas of my life. Like on the basketball team, I'm now a captain on the basketball team because I've shown leadership skills to the coach and he saw that. And then I'm president of a club, like the teacher saw that, and I've been able to apply it in so many areas because of CEO. CEO has helped me to unlock my potential, and I'm just so thankful for that.
So it's so fun to hear and then kind of get reflection on this, but you can just hear in her voice how proud she is, right? Became the captain of the basketball team her senior year. And now at K-State, I just ran into her a couple weeks ago, and I ran into her mom about a month ago, and they are still glowing about CEO and how the experience in CEO has helped her along the way. It's gotten her involved in student groups at college. It's encouraged her to volunteer at a camp over the summer where she became a leader. And she's just continuing these different opportunities because of the skills that she learned in CEO. We'll have one more here, and this is Sydney, and she's from Hope High School.
Realizing that you're
this is a perspective from her after when she was an alumni.
Up every morning and experiencing a new part of your community and talking to someone new and learning something new every single day that you will not get to experience in your usual high school setting is something that I think is so valuable. All the experiences that I took every single day from CEO, I take with me through college and I'm sure for the rest of my life. My name is Sydney Fridley and I graduated from the Dickinson County CEO group. CEO really did change my perspective of my community because before CEO, it was just a place where I went to high school, but after CEO, you really get a feel for how the community supports each other, and that really makes me want to stay in my community and support it. So I think the biggest way that I grew through CEO was pushing myself to meet new people, because in a high school setting, you're usually just talking to your peers and people your own age, but pushing yourself to break down barriers between you and adults was very influential for me. What made me hesitate to join the program was the driving every morning. Also scared me because I knew that I would be having to drive 15 minutes to 30 minutes every single morning, but it was worth every single mile driven. And I'm so glad that I made the push. I could really tell that they really wanted me to be there.
So Sydney just joined us actually a couple weeks ago for another presentation that we did at K-State Research and Extension. And Sydney is going to pilot school at K-State Salina. And it was interesting to hear her perspective even another year out. She's now meeting with aviation professionals and getting involved in different conferences. And again, she attributes that ability to do that and to talk with people that aren't her age, all to CEO, and the experiences that she had when she was pushed to talk to her mentor, when she was pushed to go sell a sponsorship for her class business, when she was pushed to host a trade show. And so it's really cool to see how all these different experiences in CEO kind of combine together to really help enhance a student and their ability to succeed. Again, a part of that post-impact survey is what are you getting from CEO? Are you walking away with something? This is my 4th year in the program, and I ask every kid each year, was it worth the effort? Because it is. It's a lot of effort on their part. We meet at 7:30, 30 minutes before any of their classes meet, and they have to drive to whatever location we're meeting at. So they are up at 6 o'clock in the morning, at least most of these kids are. And so is it worth it? And every single kid I've had so far said, yes, it was worth the effort. And so these are kind of the top, what am I getting out of CEO? What are the outcomes that they receive after completing the program? And so the top 6 here are gaining business knowledge, which of course we want, right? Improving communication, becoming more self-aware of who you are as a person, owning their own successes and failures, learning about their community, and building a professional network. All things that we hope kids can do to help them set themselves up for success, but now they're doing them in high school and really owning that accountability. So it's quite impressive. We'll pause here for a quick moment and let Abigail and Kaylee share a little bit about what their takeaways are and their top items from CEO.
So as she said, it might not sound believable when you're hearing it from her, but I'm so serious. This would be really intimidating to me. I'm talking to a bunch of grown adults, and I can't believe I'm even doing this. But I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so thankful for CEO. I think I've always, and with the self-awareness thing, I think I've always been okay with talking to people, but I've definitely learned how to be professional and how to, get people to take you seriously. As young teenagers, people don't always take us seriously, but like what I love about CEO so much is that when we go to business visits and when guest speakers come in and talk to us, they just talk to us on their level. And so we get to go up to their level rather than them come down to ours. And so it's just a really good experience in that way. And then, yeah, building a professional network, like just like getting to see all of the things that make a community that you wouldn't realize, like, unless you were in the class, I think. And then also one more thing I'll touch on is owning my success and failures. So yeah, you learn how to professionally own up to your mistakes. At our class business, we accidentally left a sponsor off of a cup, and it was a mistake. And we learned how to not handle that as teenagers, rather as professionals. And so that's just something that I don't think we always get in a classroom setting. So
I think what I've gained the most is definitely like using my connections. I always felt like I had like some connections, but I never knew what to do with them. And even like today, like a year ago, if I wasn't in CEO, I definitely would not have talked to Scott Hill at church and said, hey, I really want you to come talk to my class, or I really want to go talk to your class. And I think that's what I've gained the most from CEO. And then definitely at the beginning of the year when we did our personalities test survey, I learned some things that might be strong suits or weaknesses for me, and seeing how those are strengths or weaknesses, and then learning how to work around my weaknesses professionally and really execute a task using my strengths has been something that has been very, very facilitated by CEO.
So as you can tell, CEO is just very different. It's not your typical classroom environment, but it's a wonderful educational process. And we wanted to share a little bit about the back end of how does it kind of work on the back end from an administrative perspective. So it all starts kind of with Midland Institute for Entrepreneurship. Midland Institute is located in Effingham, Illinois, and it's part of that original CEO group, if you remember from our little history lesson. And what they do is they're kind of the back end and support for all the CEOs across the country. They provide a lot of information for all of us, our board, myself as the facilitator. They provide training so that CEOs across the country are having the same opportunities and kind of going about this in the same way. They're a huge resource if we have a student struggling or we have a situation that we're not sure how to handle it. Midland has seen it, and they'll help us work through that. They also provide a lot of technology tools. So they provide our website. If you go to dickinsoncountyceo.com, you'll see our CEO page for our kiddos, and Midland maintains that technology as well as a database of resources for us. They provide board and administrative support and really kind of that back-end solid group that kind of help us through the process. In addition to that, locally, we have a board, and so everything that is done with CEO is overseen by our local board of directors. And that is a combination of people from all across the county. Again, we have 5 schools within our community, so we want to make sure that that board is representing each of those areas. So we have a school representative from each of the schools on the board, and we have business investors from all across the county also on that board. And then together we work to create all of the CEO programming. The board meets on a monthly basis, and then they're really involved on the class on a kind of a day-to-day basis. We have different committees, some that work on investor care, some that work on trade show setup, some that help with class business oversight. There's a lot of different task-specific committees that the different board members can take part in. From a funding perspective, sometimes the big question is how does this work from a money perspective? Who pays for it, right? And what's really neat about CEO is it's not paid for by the schools. $0 come from the schools. It's all paid for by the businesses within our communities. And so all of our businesses are invited to be either an investor or a friend of CEO. And an investor is someone that's committing at least $1,000 a year for 3 years. So it's a $3,000 commitment from businesses. And then friends of CEO are those individuals or businesses that really want to support the program but might not have that level of investment to be there. So that's kind of how the funding model works. The secret of CEO is that there's so many stakeholders. It's a beautiful, community-driven educational opportunity, and it's the beauty of taking the content knowledge from the business folks, combining it together with our students that are eager to learn, and really giving them an experience and an opportunity and a safe place to, explore and try. So it's really a wonderful combination of a community-driven education. With that, I know we've given you a lot of information, so we'll pause, and if you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, first of all, it's our tradition here to acknowledge that we are scary for young people to be in front of. So we thank you, and I think you both did a beautiful job of getting through across the information that you wanted to do. And the chair is going to take the privilege of the first 2 questions because Abigail, you answered the first question about what you learned from success and failure. So my question to you is going to be, did it surprise you that adults welcomed you into their world and made you feel welcome?
I guess it's not a surprise when CEO's the environment that I'm in, but like on a normal day-to-day basis, like I wouldn't either if it was me. So I think with CEO, it's not surprising because that's what it is and I'm accustomed to that. But like as the teenager, it's like two, I have like a secret identity, it's like two of me's. And so it's like, the other me is, yes, surprised, I would say, because it's like, they're like going to be honest with me. They're going to tell me things that other people like might not, or like, I don't know. It's just like, you get to like see them and they're not going to like put on a mask for you.
Thank you, and you hit on the importance of accurate, forthright feedback. All right, so Kaylee, my question for you was the original first question I have, and you don't have to explain what happened because I don't like to put you guys on the spot, but I'm curious, what was your biggest takeaway from any one of your failures? Like, what did you learn out of failure?
I think where I've experienced the most failure isn't really on like the end result of any project I've done, but it's in the organization and just like not having organization. And like I don't like stressing other people out. Normally people don't like to do that, but I have definitely put myself and everyone in like stressful positions by just not like having like a list of what I need to do or like steps and just not following through with like promises that I've made. And I think I've definitely grown from that. So
Thank you. I think so, and it takes a lot of humility to learn from your failures, which goes back to that forthright feedback. I'm going to open up to other members, and I will, Representative Hill, I will go to you first, and then I see Wolf, Steele, and Brantley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much, Dickinson County CEO, for being here. And I'm going to do just kind of a off-the-wall question because I know you young ladies are involved in other activities and in school and outside of it. And what is your favorite activity outside of CEO that you do?
well, I'm a wrestler, so that's definitely my favorite, and it takes over my whole winter. So it was a little bit of a struggle to balance both CEO and wrestling.
You said outside of CEO, but really CEO has been the greatest thing for me. I'm in FFA as well, so I really like FFA. It's like CEO. I mean, obviously not exactly, but I really like FFA. I'm a junior officer, and I'm applying to be a senior officer next year. So yeah.
Representative Wolf?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple questions, but I first want to say I have my granddaughter and her cousin here with me today, and so this is cool that you guys are here with Ottawa County, so neighbors of you guys. So what grade in school does this start?
So it's open to juniors and seniors.
Juniors and seniors. What's another business that you've started besides pickles?
Yeah, there's 13 of us in our class this year, so lots of little businesses. I know I'm doing turquoise and silver jewelry, so I've ordered all of my stuff, and now I'm learning how to make it. And there's people doing
Cutting boards. One of our guys doing like woodworking. Another girl's doing charm bracelets.
special baseball, like personalized baseball lessons.
And then golf equipment. It's
Golf equipment, gym apparel, popcorn, the like nail kits, like when you order the fake nails, and she's done a lot of research with that. I think that one's probably like my favorite one to watch develop.
It's like I said, I mean, we're not going to probably continue these businesses. They're not our $1 million ideas, but we're learning so much through just having a model of something, because it's kind of hard when you don't have a trade per se. I've never made pickles before this year, but I've been making tons of pickles. And that's but I'm learning how to sell my pickles, and I'm making a business plan, and I'm making finance statements, and we're going to do a banker's day coming up where we actually go to a bank and present our business plan as if this was a real business. So it's cool.
Two final questions. One is, so it does work with extracurricular, like if you have an FFA thing, what if you miss a class? Can you go do your field trip stuff?
You have to be-
And then how do you start a CEO?
Okay, for the first one, I'm so involved in tons of things, and I'm not trying to not brag, but it's a lot. It is a lot, and I will not lie. Being an FFA officer, I had to have prior meetings with my advisors, and I miss a lot of FFA meetings for the CEO, and I miss a lot of CEO classes to go to an FFA contest. So I mean, there is give both ways, and I mean, it's hard to do everything, but I mean, if you're driven and you want to do it, you can.
And if you miss a class, if you miss a day at CEO and it was a work day, then you just find that time in your own time to make up the work that you would have done during class. And if you miss a field trip or a business visit, then you've just you have to just kind of eat it, and that's it. You missed your opportunity, but that's okay. There's going to be more. So it's definitely, it puts kids in or students in the position to make those choices and really see that there's a choice here. You're not just missing school, you're missing seeing this business that you might have learned something really cool from. So I think that's definitely also helping with our professional development.
And then how do you start it? Are you talking about as a student?
Yeah, or another school.
So I think
County.
I can help with that. So if another school is interested or another county is interested, we would just encourage you to reach out to Midland Institute. They have this whole program of how to get you up and going. That's how we got our program started. And so we would encourage local leaders that are in other areas that want to bring it in. There's actually a neighboring community that has reached out to us with those questions, and we connected them with Chris at Midland, and that's what his job is to really kind of explain how it works and what that setup looks like so that you can get it started in your area.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Before we go on, do think of them as real businesses. There's a lot of financial gurus out there who tell you to have a side hustle is a good thing. And so I can't remember which relative or friend on my Facebook has a business, as an adult, has a business they started recently with canning different flavors of pickles that I had no idea. So your businesses are real, and they may stick with you your whole life in one way or another.
Abigail brought blue raspberry flavored pickles to class the other day, and it took me a minute to try it, but they were actually really good.
Very good. We'll move on to Representative Steele.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. This was amazing, and you both obviously have really good communication skills, professionalism, and it shows that you are putting to use the skills that you're learning about. So thank you so much. I'm curious from a school administrator standpoint, because this is amazing, and I think for me anyway, what I want my kids to strive to do and to learn in a school. So if this is every morning at 7:30, so if you're going all around your county, how does this work with potentially being late to school? Is it considered for credits at school? Kind of those background things.
So every school is a little bit different. So we have 5 high schools in our county. So we have some that are set up on a block schedule, and then we have some that are on an hourly schedule. And so every school is a little bit different, but that's also why we start early. So we'll start at 7:30 so that we can give the students really 2 credit hours of class time during the morning. So we meet 7:30 to 9, and then the students need to be on the road at 9 so that they have a half an hour to kind of get to class, if that makes sense. Because sometimes, I mean, our county is very large, so sometimes we have a 30-minute drive, sometimes up to 45 minutes, depending. The schools are amazing. We just do a lot of communication with them. Typically, what they do is we take the first 2 class periods of the day, and then the students are usually able to get back to the class in time for their 3rd class period. There are a few exceptions to that rule, depending upon their block scheduling and things like that, but the schools are amazing to work with the students and to work through those issues.
May I ask one more? Thank you. And so whenever you talk about your class, are you talking about your class as a whole of the whole county or just from your school, the whole county?
Oh, yeah, we're one. Once we get there, we are one, yes.
Yeah, I'm from Abilene, and then Abigail's from Chapman.
Yeah.
So we don't go to school
So
together, but we go to see it.
Yeah, what she said.
Yeah.
Our class is like, we have to get rid of the green and orange.
Yes.
And now you gotta.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you.
That's really that's what that first 3 weeks focuses, is really to break down those barriers. To, we have the color thing, we have the orange and the green, that's a big one in our county. So we work really hard on, we don't wear school things, we wear business casual to class. So they dress up like this every day for class in the morning. And so they're not wearing those school colors or those school t-shirts or whatnot, and they really form a community just amongst the group.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And you guys aren't aware that we have people who listen to us, just the audio. So I appreciated when y'all stepped forward to the microphone, and let's make sure we keep doing that. Representative Brantley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for being here. Just even as a former professor at the university, your professional dress is just spot on, so I really appreciate that. So I have a kind of a question on an administrative type piece. You say you drive in. How do you cover your own gas expenses and such? Can you tell us some about that?
Yeah, of course. And so, yes, each student is responsible for their own driving, so that's very aware with parents. Parents sign a transportation release form at the beginning of the year as a part of the enrollment. We're very clear about that expectation. We have each student pay for their own travel expenses. Those families are responsible for it. However, we do have that Friends of CEO account, and so we never want money to be an issue for not participating in CEO. So why we do ask parents and families to kind of cover that travel cost. If it becomes an issue for the family where it's just not doable for them, then we have community support to help give them gas money to cover that cost.
You're welcome. Representative Stogstill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been really impressed with this. For 8 years, I worked with the high-tech industries in Kansas and Missouri, and 4 times a year we had an entrepreneurial group that came together, and we would bring together angel investors, mezzanine investors, and venture capitalists to look at 8 entrepreneurs 4 times a year. And we probably helped 60, 70 companies get started. And I'm just wondering if, I think you would get volunteers from some of those angel investors and so on in Kansas City to come up and talk to your group if you haven't talked to actual professional investors. Because I think if you're going to start an entrepreneurial company, most entrepreneurs have to start with that investment trilogy as you go through there. So,
we actually have a board member that has a connection that she was going to try to bring someone down this year. So that's ironic that you said that, because she's actually has talked to someone and was going to arrange that. So it's another beautiful thing of having our board members, because not only do we have the resources of our county, but also their professional resources as well, because that would be a great opportunity for our students.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think we the people that were college age and older investors and stuff like this, but boy, I tell you, if you can get them started in high school, that's a real plus.
Any other questions? Representative Pishney?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here and presenting. Mine is just simply a clarification question. I heard you say it's for juniors and seniors, which makes sense, but are you in the program for 2 years or just one of the 2 years? So it could be juniors or seniors. And then, so by the shaking of their heads, I'm saying they're saying it can be, it is 1 year, it can be juniors, seniors. Well, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but the mix of the students, but leads me to how many are, do you have a cap? I was thinking somebody said how many you have this year, but do you have a cap of how many students you can accept just because of facility, or what would, if you have a cap, what are the parameters for that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yep, let me give you a little background on kind of the application process. So it is an application driven process to get into CEO. So we go and visit, actually the current year students recruit the next year students. So that is the only time we really go into the high schools, is when we take our current year class. They go present to the sophomores and juniors about the program and kind of introduce them to it. And so we invite any junior or senior or a pending upcoming junior and senior to participate. There is a 1-year term. I have had juniors that take it that love it so much they want to come back, but we don't do 2 years. It's just a 1-year CEO program. And then from a CAP perspective, we encourage as many that can to apply. And so what happens is there's a website, our CEO website they can go to. They can complete their application where they fill in information about themselves, why they want to be a part of the program. And then we receive a couple of different references, one from their school and then 2 from their professional network. Our board will review all of the applications and then select the next year's class. And so the names are all removed from those applications during that review process, so we kind of get just a nice, this is a group of students that we're going to accept. Our program is relatively new, so we've been growing the program. I started in year 2 and we had 7 students. In our year 3 we had 9, and then we had 12, and then this year we have 13. So we're kind of starting to ask that question of what's the cap. Effingham and Midland, they cap about 20 is where their cap is. And then when you get past that kind of 18, 20 mark, they encourage you to look at multiple classes. And so that's something that we could consider if the interest continues to grow. And so that's an opportunity. I know Effingham, where it originally started, they have 2 classes that they support.
Okay. And just a quick follow-up. So the 1 year junior or senior, is that a Midland thing, or is that something you've chosen just because?
That's just how all the programs run.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anybody have the first time to ask a question? Representative Chauncey?
Yeah, just real quick, I guess, once they get through your program, I mean, because it's teaching them life skills and entrepreneurial skills to run a successful business. I mean, I'm from Junction City, it's the neighbors, you guys are the West, and I really commend this program because I think it does wonders, because I'm 50 years old and I'm scared to go up to the well and talk in front of all these guys, so you guys did a phenomenal job. But just, do the students have resources to come back and work with the program to help them out once they graduate from the program?
I would say yes. It's kind of up to the student to kind of initiate some of that. A lot of our kids that are participating at the junior level will use like a workplace experience their senior year and use some of their connections that they've made through the CEO experience to kind of to work through that. Some of our college kids that are going off to college and then coming home, they've used some of their connections to do internships or find summer jobs. And so we've had a lot of that, but it's very student driven. Like the student has to take the step and then we're kind of there to support. So I would say the opportunity is there if the student wants it.
Anybody else for a first question? All right, we will move to second questions, and I have Representative Hill and Brantley in the queue, and I'm going to add myself after them.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and ladies, you made me Dickinson County proud. I'm like Ike right now. Proudest thing I can say, I'm from Dickinson County. So thank you so much for being here. I have a two-part question for you young ladies. First of all, do you feel like that your lifetime you will be an entrepreneur? Okay, and the second part of that question is, do you feel like you will be an entrepreneur? And let's start out with rural Kansas and then Kansas in general. And I'd like for you to both answer that if you could.
So, no. I've learned so much about like professional development and working in a team, and I feel like I've definitely learned so much about having like a boss or working in a group with people. And also I've learned that entrepreneurs have to deal with such little details. Like they have to oversee everything. And I definitely am not the gal to be doing that. And with the rural Kansas question, I don't think I'll probably be here forever. Like I'm sure like I'll go to college and then I'll move away, but I definitely would consider moving back. This class has opened my eyes to how much a community can like hold together when it's like smaller, and it's been great to see how much our community does for each other. And
Okay, so yes. So I think I mean I know I want to do business. I don't know entrepreneur, like I don't know if I'm gonna go off on my own. So my family, like I have ag roots kind of. So we have a vineyard, and it's my parents' thing, but I think I could see myself being a part of it. They want to expand to maybe a winery someday, and so it's vineyard and winery. And it's a pretty cool deal. And even if I don't do that, I want to go to college for business, I think, and, shoot for the moon, land among the stars. So I don't know exactly what it looks like. I think I definitely, that's what's going to be for me. I don't like to sit in a classroom too much, and I don't like the traditional way of doing things. And I think that's, this class has gone to show me that that's a good thing, and I can apply those, bits of ADHD into being successful. So, yeah.
Thank you, Representative Brantley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, I want to say, so glad you're here. I kind of have a little bit on his question. So like your pickle business, are you going to continue that and in the future? And then I have just a little half question.
So my pickle business, so I don't know if any of you guys have had cinnamon. Have you ever had cinnamon pickles? Any of you guys? Okay, so mine, originally I was just going to do regular pickles and then cinnamon pickles. And then realized I don't know how to make regular pickles, but I do know how to make cinnamon pickles. And so then I was like, well, how can I make this different? I wanted to have just something different that would catch people. So I decided to do the same process with cinnamon pickles, and I use Jolly Ranchers. So I do blue raspberry, green apple. I've done a sour worm pickle. So they're not your traditional pickles. But so a lot of people either love them or hate them, and that's totally okay. I think I could continue to do it. If I'm being honest, it's just a lot of pain to get them done. But once they're done, I think I could see myself, making a bunch of them. Once I have my brand kind of finished, which I've been working on a logo and all of that. And so, yes, I don't know how mainstream, but I have friends that own a coffee shop, and they said that I could sell them there if I wanted to. So if I had a bunch of excess. So I think yes, but maybe not extreme. So I don't know. It's it's a unique thing. I don't know.
Go ahead.
And I know I said that I don't want to be an entrepreneur, but I do actually really hope to continue my business that I'm starting on into college and as a side hustle. And then I wouldn't have to have specific hours that I'm working, and I do plan to continue my entrepreneurship.
Haley, could you please remind us what your business is?
Yeah, jewelry. So silver and turquoise jewelry. I hope to do a lot of custom pieces, which there aren't very many companies or boutiques that do custom, so I hope that's a good hole in the market for me to fill.
Thank you. Then my question is for Ms. Gray. You're talking about something that's really helping tie a rural community, but some of us are legislators from very urban areas. Are there urban examples of what you guys do, and can you give us a little bit about what that model looks like?
Yes, there are rural and urban CEOs across the nation. I would encourage you to look at Midland's site, and you can kind of see, I know they have one in a lot of different states and a lot of different sizes. I mean, our communities are obviously very small in Dickinson County compared to some of them that are in Illinois, but they make the model's pretty much the same. It's growing the base of your community leaders that are interested in participating and getting the kids into these real world experiences. And so they've been able to transition the model into both rural and urban areas. Folks that have small schools, large schools, some private schools have been in part of them before, part of CEOs before. So it's a very flexible model that Midland will work with different communities with to make it work for them.
And do you know if they work with schools that are very low income, high incidences of free and reduced lunch?
I would say yes, because it's not, they don't look at those demographics necessarily when they're creating the program. It's about the leaders and the hands-on desire to really get the students out into the real world. So yeah.
Thank you. And I see Representative Stogg still queuing up. He's got his hand on the button.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I would definitely buy a jar of blueberry pickles, by the way. It actually sounds very good to me. I like pickles. But have you guys worked at all with the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City?
We have not. We have not. And remember, we're relatively new, so this is just kind of our 5th year. And so we were just kind of getting our footing going and kind of steering in the right direction, but it sounds like it would be a great opportunity.
I've worked with them a lot, and their mission is education and entrepreneurship. And so if you ever needed to do that, I'd be happy to help you and introduce you to some people over there that I think would be very interested in your program, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? All right, well, I got another. I assume that you guys are comparing graduation rates among those who participate in your program and those who don't. And so if you are, what are you able to tell us about that?
Like high school graduation rates? Well, I'm not sure that I have that specific data for you, but I would assume, I mean, we kind of follow our CEO kids. It's a small community. We know these kids. We reach out to the kids. We see them all graduate. We see them all kind of go off to their next steps. We encourage a continued relationship with our CEO kids. And so I continue to text our alumni that have gone off and invite them to come back for different events. We do several different events throughout the year, including like a holiday breakfast where we invite all of our investors to come. We invite our current class to share about themselves and what they've learned about the program so far. And then we invite our alumni to kind of come in and stay connected with the program. And so during those different opportunities, we kind of get to follow up with some of them. Obviously, schedules are tight. A lot of them are in college right now, and so they don't all get back. But it's great to see the ones that do so that we can stay connected with them and see kind of their trajectory going forward. And I mean, again, we're a very young program, but we've seen some remarkable kids go off. When you look at more probably experienced programs like the Effingham, Illinois program, the original program, they're starting to see things that we are just hoping for. You know, the students that go off to college, go have a career, and then boomerang back home and do something amazing in their environment there. And so that's kind of what the goal is to really get the kids aware of the program and the community so that hopefully someday they want to stay connected with that and grow their families and grow their businesses back home in their original home, if you will.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you guys very much for being here. I think we've learned a lot. I think we feel inspired and thankful, and there's somebody out there who's going to pay our Social Security.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. You may be seated. So we are, before I adjourn you, I just want to take a moment to say when I expressed appreciation to Lynette and Michelle, I didn't to the committee because I knew some of you were off doing double duty with another committee, and I wanted you guys to know that I appreciate that you have been very patient with a first-time chair. I also have learned lessons from failure this year. But I think we've had a really great year. I think we rock at discussion, and there's things about each and every one of you that I appreciate, and I really will say again what I said a few weeks ago, that I'm proud of each of you, and thank you for being part of our committee. Now I'll move to the portion where ask if anybody has anything for the good of the order. And you guys know that that means I'm about to adjourn you, so you never say anything. On that note, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.